Talk Show.
It's the Daily Talk Show, episode 541.
We got Ryan John in the building.
Yeah, get around it.
Nice.
Yeah.
Happy Monday, Ryan.
Thank you. Happy Monday to you too.
You're up there with the most frequented guests. I mean, it's been pretty good because you actually have lived interstate for a heap of the time that we've had this show.
Yeah. Well, when I used to come by, this was part of my stops. Go and see mum, go and do some work to cover the trip on tax, come and see the boys from the Daily Talk Show and go home.
What was the point of coming here?
Today? Well, I'll tell you the idea of coming today. Someone else cancelled and I was ringing. Are we being honest about this?
No, I didn't mean like that. But yeah, that's what happened.
But what are you doing in Melbourne right now? Or you're full-time in Melbourne now?
Well, sort of. I've been a third Perth, a third Melbourne, and a third out on the farm in Western Victoria.
So that means one third, that means what, like twice, 2.5 times a week you're in Melbourne? Is that right?
I reckon 2 days a week I'm in Melbourne.
Okay.
Yeah, just coming in for bits and pieces.
I took
there was a grand plan to come and work out of your office. I haven't done that as much as I
Yeah, mate, you got to be in Melbourne.
I don't think you've done it at all, have you?
No, probably not, but I'll start soon.
Okay, no.
2020 vision.
I took Bodie to the little trains right near your house.
Really?
Yeah.
How good is it?
Eltham trains. Absolutely awesome.
Why do you go there?
I was there yesterday. That's why I'm sunburnt.
You actually were there?
Yeah, because across the street is the dog park and I took BJ.
Yeah. So it's right near his mum's place.
Yeah, you can walk there from mum's place. Oh, we filmed that thing with Dave there.
Yeah. That's how I know about it.
I'm loving that you're living on my side of Melbourne now.
Mate, suburb life.
Yeah. When are you going to join us, Josh? Come out to the suburbs,
I mean,
mate.
I'm close to the freeway. I can easily access it. I can go to Shoppo regularly. It feels like you were in the US and then you were home.
Well, I could say the same to you guys.
No, How many days were you?
I was in the US for 8 days because Bridget, my fiance, only had 5 days off. So we just crammed it in. So it was like 2 weekends and the week in between.
Was it a contentious issue around her annual leave or was it okay?
A little bit, but she's like, Ryan just met his biological family. They've invited us to Thanksgiving. We've never met half of them. The bosses were like, yeah, that seems like a pretty good thing to go to. So,
well, a bit of an arsehole move not to let you.
Yeah, and
I've definitely had moments. Like I asked Bree's boss when I was younger, I said, hey, I want to surprise Bree. We missed out on Miley Cyrus tickets in Melbourne. I want to surprise her and go and see Miley Cyrus on a Friday night in Sydney.
Yep.
And she'll just need to take the day off. And the boss said no.
Absolutely not.
Really?
Yeah.
Did she have the annual leave? Or
yes.
So then what's the point of annual leave?
I guess the point is you need to sort of book ahead potentially.
Yeah. So when my best mate's mum passed away, Dave, who we made the video for, she died of MMD. I said to my boss, I'm going to take tomorrow off and fly to Melbourne to go to the funeral. My best friend's mum, and even besides being my best friend's mum, I actually knew her really well as well. And they were like, no, because you've only worked here 3 months or less, you're still on probation, which means you haven't accrued annual leave. So like you just
haven't they accrued a heart yet? Like,
yeah. So I was like, okay. Then I spoke to Dave and I was like, dude, this is bullshit. I can't believe it, but this is what they said. And he just, dude, it is what it is. You can't change it. So I went in, did the brekkie show in the morning, and then after the show, I just went into the boss's office and I was like, I'm leaving right now.
Yeah.
And I'm not coming back
ever.
Like this was on a Thursday. I was like, and the funeral was on a Friday. I was like, I'll be back on Monday. Okay, like if I still have a job, I'll be here. But if not, like I don't fucking care. I'm just going to go.
Yeah, you're cool.
Heartless cunt. And then when I left, they were like, after all we've done for you. I was like, fuck you.
Really? They said that?
Yeah.
Fuck, it puts shit into perspective.
Yeah.
Like, it doesn't mean anything, these jobs, when the people around you aren't living anymore.
When I pull that shit on us, you haven't accrued enough. So.
But it was weird. Cheers to Grant Broadcasters. And I remember saying to myself, I was like, I'll regret this for the rest of my life if I don't go. And even now I think about it, I'm like, I'm really glad I did that.
Yeah.
I should have gone and seen Miley Cyrus, let's be honest.
Yeah, you should have.
Okay.
You should have walked
But imagine
out.
if you walked out of your partner's job for her. Well, she quits, so see you later.
I've done stuff like I booked because Brie was funny. It was the same boss about taking long periods of annual leave, and so I decided to surprise her one Christmas where I'm like, "Hey, I've booked a month for us to go to the US."
That's a big surprise.
Put it in like the flights, and she's like, "But I haven't put in annual leave." I'm like, "I know." She ended up leaving, and we went on that trip. But it was great.
Does she regret that now?
No, that was perfect. It was actually one of the best moments ever because she got a new job before she went away.
Oh, perfect.
And I quit my job and in 4 weeks' time we were going away. In that 4 weeks, I got a new job too. And so we were both going away with the idea that we'd come home to
New jobs ready to go.
And we just fucking credit carded the shit out of that trip.
Of course you would. That's awesome.
And the other thing too is I fucked up I didn't realize they paid ahead.
Oh,
And so it was that
you
whole
get
thing
half.
about saying, Bray, you know, we'll get 6K or whatever it is. And then like it was like $2,500.
That's why they do it, because they're like, when someone leaves, having to fork up extra cash.
Yeah.
There's been a bunch of redundancies across the radio landscape. Well, Southern Cross is stereo of recent.
Yeah.
Someone in the weekend.
Stuart Nova, your old mate.
Who's that?
You're the favourite talent you worked with.
Matt Tilley. Yeah, that great
was that
talent.
redundancy or was that just?
Yeah, I don't know.
That was the people spoke. Anyway, have you had a redundancy before?
No.
Like a classic, the business is
trying to think how
restructuring and they've got
Not like that. I'm
redundancies
just trying to
going
think
out
of the
left, right.
exact wording Southern Cross gave me, or I gave them in the middle of the year.
Yeah. We won't do that. But I spoke to someone on the weekend. They said that a redundancy was like super rattling and changed their life in not the best way.
Yeah.
But then I've spoken to other people. They're like, mate, it's actually the best fucking thing ever. It's
take the
almost like a
handshake,
badge
see
of
you
honor
later.
these days. Everyone loves a good fucking redundancy.
Actually, my dad got made redundant 3 weeks ago.
Oh,
And
great.
he's
Clap it in.
and he's 68 or 69.
That's a forced retirement.
That's what
A retirement with a great.
because he
fucking-
was really unwell when I was in high school and had to change jobs, and he was like, "Oh, it's hard to like start a new career when you're 55 or whatever."
Yeah.
And now he's like, "Is a 69?" Because he worked in a factory, and you know, when you're in a factory, you get very good at that specific thing that you do, but you don't really know much else.
Yeah.
So he's like, "What am I going to do at age 70? Go and learn how to."
What was the specific thing that you did in the factory? Do you know?
It was like he worked for Monash University, but like in printing, you know how like they'd print like 1,000
Flyers.
or like, you know, exam
Programs.
papers and all
Okay.
that sort of stuff.
It's all in-house.
And so it's just this big machine that's, you know, a big printer press.
Oh, that's cool.
But like,
Have
now
they
he's like, now what do I
outsourced
do?
Yeah.
I don't know. He's just like, I got made redundant. And I was like, okay, shit.
Yeah.
But like you said, fourth handshake.
Yeah.
It's like, when are you going to retire? He goes, well, it's going to be in a few years, but now it's next Friday.
I like the idea because I was saying this to a mate. I was saying, their friend was made redundant. I was like, that's awesome. And like, it's pretty sad for them. But I feel like you get a bunch of cash because I think it's like a lot of businesses do every year that you've been there, it's a month. Is that how it works? Of salary.
redundancy.
And so if you've
The
been
longer
there
you've been,
for,
the bigger redundancy gets. Yeah. Like it balloons.
yeah,
And then if you're owed like, what's the 10-year period? It's like a
long service.
long service leave. So
Yeah,
if
you
you've
get
got
that.
that up your sleeve as well, like it ends up being a good thing because it gives you, it's paid time to look for new work if you're still looking for
I've got a question for you, Tommy, about Josh's outlook on redundancies. Most people would see it as a real negative. Is he just a happy-go-lucky guy, or has he got it all wrong? Because when I walked in, you were like, did you get a slice of that redundancy pie? I was like, mate, people lost their jobs. You're like, whatever, you get the money, right?
No, but it's the thing of like you get to do something else. It's almost like an angel investor in life.
So you should be Grant Blackley's new PR guy. We are an angel investor in life, and we are invested in 100 staff to free themselves and spread their wings.
Angel investor in Ore Data now.
yeah, they should have invested their money there. To be honest, that thing's going up.
But I feel like look at Keegs as a great example.
These are friends of ours that work in the radio space that have just lost their job. There was 100 jobs gone.
Yeah.
I don't like when you say it like that because it does sound fucking a bit sad.
It
when
was
you say
across the board. Some old colleagues of mine even.
People got made redundant when I was in my show, like people who worked around our show. They're like, that role doesn't exist. And it was like a glum day. And that was just one person. So I can't imagine being there this week.
Well, yeah, I do wonder. I was thinking I wonder if there's ever been a role that I've been in that potentially could have been redundant.
I don't think, like, I could look at how much trouble do I want to get myself in? I could look across the board and point out a whole bunch of people that don't do fucking anything.
Yeah, great.
So
Do it. Keep it for radio today.
But I don't think it's as clinical as, I think it's just the board goes, we need to find 100 jobs, and then just the manager goes, fuck, I need to get rid of 3 people. How can I justify? You get paid too much anyway. That guy, I don't really like him. And you, because I guess we should get a girl as well. But, or whatever, you know, it's just like,
especially like your online on-air talent or whatever. It's a very much sort of-
and I don't think it's as clinical as like role by role going, how could we like merge that? Like, I don't know, they're just sweeping change.
It reminds me of one of my favorite films, Up in the Air.
Oh, with George Clooney? That was
They
great.
go in and they just, do you know that film?
It was his job to fire people.
Yeah.
Oh,
They would go in. I feel like they would have like, July luggage or whatever, and they'd sort of roll on in and say, hey, like sweet, or similar to Walter Mitty.
oh yeah.
I love all films that have
Redundancies.
redundancies because it's a transition. Anytime there's a transition in life, it's like when anyone moves on or does anything, even gets made redundant, I'm like, that's so exciting.
Well, the worst is the walkout. So you're halfway through a day and then it happens. Have you had that before?
I've seen a walkout.
You've seen
I've
a
seen a
walkout.
walkout that hit 92.9.
Was there any stink kicked up?
Nah, because it's sort of the other way around. They go, oh, I'm leaving, but I'm happy to do my 4 weeks notice. And they're like, get out right now.
What's the point of that?
I think well, this person
the
worked
point
in...
of the sever. It's cut it off at the head.
No, well, the person worked in sales, and I think the point was we don't want him chatting to the clients and maybe taking them with him, or we just want to...
But what if you've still got your notes connected to your iCloud and through your work email and you got to work that out?
Yeah, I wonder how many people are doing that. Like when it comes to data nowadays, people like
stealing.
forwarding. Forwarding on documents and things like that.
I've always thought about that because most of my notes and thoughts and ideas before Evernote was just me emailing myself at work.
Oh,
Shout out to
yeah,
Evernote.
I did that too. Yeah.
And so I was like, oh, if I had like just left, then I'd have all my
You'd be in trouble.
contacts and names and numbers and stuff.
KISS 1011 when I worked there. I
Did
thought,
you quit or did you get made redundant?
no, I didn't get made redundant. I quit.
Okay.
Different. No payout.
Yeah,
It's
you
shit
did get a
house.
payout,
It's
yeah.
fucking shit house.
You should go into the office and go, you know what? The role I do could probably be covered by those two other guys. So if you just want to smooth this one over, I'll take the money.
The thing about redundancies, the role can't exist once they fire you from it. So that's why you're actually, you can be shifted. So in radio, I remember you're an announcer. So you're not a breakfast announcer.
Yeah.
Because they're not going to, they could shift you out of the position as an announcer into the midday shift. Terrible. You don't want to be doing that if you came in as the breakfast person. But then
your job is announcer.
Your job is an announcer, which means that you can't fucking kick up a stink really because it's in your contract.
It's funny when you say they can't hire a new one. So back in the day, I got offered...
if they make the role redundant, non-existent.
Yeah,
anymore.
so I got offered a job at 96 FM, and which is in Perth, and I was like, oh, who's the GM? And they're like, oh, the GM was made redundant and we can't have a new GM because of the rules of redundancy. So they go, but you can instead speak to our director of commercial operations. And I was like, is that just another name for GM? And he's like, yeah.
And they're also in the same office.
Do you think this is why there's all these funny roles like popping
can't have
up,
the same
like
name.
head of bloody lead gen? I don't know, but there's all these random roles now. It's
Because
like
you got to
never
change the
heard
name.
of that before.
We made redundant the sales manager, but we now have a client relationship
Yeah,
associate.
nurturer.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting around the job titles. I remember at one job I had, they were always saying, Josh, don't get obsessed with your job title. But
You would be a person that would be obsessed with
definitely.
job
I'm
titles.
like, no, but I want a better one. And they're like, it doesn't mean anything. Like,
Yeah,
it doesn't
it
mean
does.
anything. Give it to me. Which is
such a
fair,
good
right?
point, yeah.
It's such a good point. It's like, hey, look, if we're just throwing them around, just give it to me.
I'll put lead in there.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And so the thing is that I had a situation where I asked for a role name change. They pushed back a bunch, eventually gave it to me, but they said, Josh, the thing is, this isn't connected to like financial thing or anything like that. So like, what's the point? But then when it came
LinkedIn, that's why.
yeah, LinkedIn, but also when it came to time of evaluating everyone's salaries, they do look at the job title and see what the industry standard is. And so then I got this massive bump up.
So
based
hang on. They said to you, we can't change your title because it could mean financial consequences, and you said no, it won't. And then at the next meeting, you said, "Look at my title, I want more money."
No, so they said that it doesn't mean anything.
Yeah, saying you're not going to hear. You're not going
and
to
then he
hear.
asked for it.
It's
and
like,
took it.
yeah, it's like, oh, well, you're not asking, like, it's not like a salary increase or anything, but then the long game, it shows that there is benefit in that.
All right. Well, can we do a little on-air brainstorming?
Sure.
Yeah, sure.
So at Ticker, I've got a new show starting, which is this week possibly. And also, I'm going to be doing a couple hours a week just to help them with some social media stuff.
Yeah.
Nothing fancy. What should I call myself?
Okay.
Because it's funny that you just said, use the
Lead.
word lead.
Yeah, content
I
lead.
can literally call myself whatever I wanted.
Content lead.
So that's what I was. I was a content
a
lead.
good name.
The reason why lead is great
Mm-hmm.
is because lead doesn't necessarily say that you manage people.
But is it cooler than saying manager?
Well, I think a manager could potentially imply that you have people under you.
Right.
A lead is just you are senior within that.
But isn't having people under you seen as good because they're like,
Yes.
and purely the only reason I want to choose my title is that if I need to apply for a job later, it looks cool.
Sure.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
think
yeah.
I probably wouldn't go specific to social media.
What about just digital lead?
So the thing is, if Ticker is an all digital business, it's the first thing I learned is like you go from radio where it's like, you've got the digital content producer.
Yep.
If you go to a tech company, you're at that point just a content producer because the digital bit is implied.
Yeah.
Right.
And so I think you don't want digital at all.
So I'm just a lead.
Yeah,
What's
no
your
social
ticker?
media.
I led.
I'm a lead. I think something around. I would go broad. So I'd say something around. I would say communication specialist.
What's a
What do you think?
content
97
That's great.
like that?
You can
I
work
don't know
for
what this
Telstra
is, but I just
quite
think it
easily.
sounds nice.
communication.
What is a content strategist?
So a content strategist.
So I feel like we talk about strategies. We all make content for a living, but does anyone know what that title means?
Yeah, so it'd be very much looking at, so you might not necessarily be on the tools depending on how big the business is, but you would be saying, okay, so say if you're the content strategist for the Daily Talk Show, you would be saying, okay, you'd be doing stuff on who the audience is.
Right.
Then you would be saying, based on that audience and the platform, these are the platforms we need to be on. You'd probably be even doing the measurements. So you'd be pulling in analytics from YouTube to Instagram, all that sort of thing, and putting them into spreadsheets.
The way you
Data
said it
driven?
made it sounds like a lot of work.
It is.
At the start,
Yeah.
when you just said off the tools, I just thought it meant I rocked up in the morning and went, the people like memes make memes. Goodbye. And just leave.
Well, yeah, no, I think it's definitely,
Famous quotes from Jeff Bezos.
Yeah. Oh,
And
you
repeats.
posted one of those. I saw that
I did
today.
that this morning. I made that last night on my laptop.
Yeah.
I led that
Did you?
and tooled it. Made
and
it on the
tooled
tools.
it. No, I appreciate that.
You're a toolsman.
No, so I think something I would go,
I've been called a tool before.
communication specialist, content specialist,
What about just specialist lead? I feel like that's the
specialist lead, specialist lead manager.
Yeah.
What have you found coming from radio and looking at the job market and the types of roles that are now available compared to before you were in the radio game?
Well, I haven't, because I'm sort of working on my own and doing bits and pieces, which I'm actually loving that kind of freelance drifter lifestyle. So I haven't looked
Yeah, you
at
got the three. You got the 3 rule.
what's the 3 rule.
Rule of thirds. Perth, Melbourne,
Oh, yeah.
country.
Yeah, I can say the country is a lot less lucrative than Perth is. I'm going back to Perth again. It's like you
Too
can't
much.
you can't say no to like good paying freelance jobs when you're new to freelance. I feel.
Yeah, true.
But going to Perth is a hassle.
With the freelancing stuff, a lot of people, when they're starting their freelance journey, they get self-conscious about invoice numbers because when you're starting, it'll be like invoice
Invoice
001.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, you got to
002.
know that to be self-conscious of it. There'd probably be so many people that are just they haven't thought about
know,
it.
they just make up a number,
Spitting out
right?
number
Yeah,
3.
well, that's the thing. I think that I've seen forums where people are talking about like, hey, how can I do this?
yeah,
Like,
yeah.
haha, I add a 2 in front of the 0 or whatever, so it looks like 2001.
No one else
like-
cares. That's such a Josh thing to care about, actually.
But is
But,
there-
to answer Tommy's question,
It sounds like you've done 3 invoices by that answer.
well, I've been doing little ones
I get
over
it.
the journey.
No, I
I've
get
either been at least up to in the 40s.
Okay, good. No,
And that's the ones that I don't take cash for. They're the ones I have to pay tax on. They're the crap ones. I think, and my friend had this same thing a year ago because he finished in radio, that outside of the radio industry, people don't realize all the skills you have in radio. Like you've got producing skills. I've got all these digital skills, and they just go, "Oh, radio announcer. No, we're looking for a social media guy." And you're like, "Oh, well, here's the thing about my show in Canberra. We didn't have like a social media guy or a digital team. We broke all these records for multimedia and like we did that." Oh, yeah, but like you're a radio announcer. Like I don't think people quite understand all the things you do. And I think that's up to us to communicate it. And my mate Taylor, he changed his whole resume. So he was like a communication specialist who was also on air, where he was just a workday guy that would pump a couple of memes every now and then.
I mean, when you're looking at a job, description when you're going for an interview or something, it's like you end up doing so much more than what's on there. Or the stuff on there is like what they're leading with, like the top end of what they want someone to be even capable of.
Yeah. One thing I found because I'm not qualified in marketing and stuff, I just assumed, that we've all been around enough that you kind of get the basics.
I've seen enough ads.
I've seen enough ads.
I've watched enough telly.
Yeah, I get it.
But the craziest thing is these ones that are like an intern or a junior or a graduate role that need like 5 years experience. And there's so many different facets of like, there's content creation. So there's like, we need Adobe Premiere, After Effects, graphics, blah, blah. But we also need you to be a Google Words and SEO specialist and have 2 years in this, and also be a great graphic designer, and also have existing clients. And then you're like, that's 4 different jobs, mate.
it's
That's for an intern?
Yeah.
Like, I'd hate,
bizarre.
I'd hate to be a graduate now.
I was thinking recently about like there's kind of 2 ways. There's probably a bunch of ways, but 2 ways to sort of get work, get stuff you haven't done before. And one of them is create the thing that you want to end up getting the work for. So it could be a documentary.
Yep.
Or build contacts great enough where you can get given the opportunity and you slowly present. And I was thinking they're the same thing really, because you can end up with like radio stuff. Like when you first get your job, there's no way you've had a shitload of experience. You're getting, someone's putting their chips on you, or they're like, I think you can do it. And then you have an opportunity so you can sink or swim. There's a higher chance of a failure.
The radio, using that example, is are you talking on air or?
On air, yeah, for those. But even like...
Do you think that that's changed? Because definitely, so 2012, great year. But also, I feel like it was a different landscape where it's like social media, not every single person was doing it. Whereas now... video people, like we've talked about this, video people within radio are actually really good. But when we were doing it, it was like hard to fill. And so there was always some form of compromise that was happening.
Yeah, definitely the video stuff in radio stations has changed. I think there's more people who are more skilled now with video creation.
I think it'd be the other way around. I reckon it'd be hard for a radio station. Like if you're a really skilled digital guy, I don't know why you'd want to work for a radio station. Like when you think of all the possibilities
now for sure.
So I reckon that probably
well, it's always
hard to hire.
budget. So I think that like in 2012, great year. The reason why that it was exciting was because
you work there.
Yeah, but also brands were spending money. So it's like brands were spending money, and then you'll get some flow on effect to do online video. But if you think about it, like 7 years ago, who was spending money in online video? Who was doing online video? You had to go to these newer, and it felt like radio was better positioned than TV, because TV was like, oh, we've got our video resources wrapped up in the TV, the thing we do.
Yeah. And if they create some other product around video and it's not as good as the TV product, it's like they've got a branding issue at that point.
But they had to bake it in. You would never want to cannibalize the TV stuff by doing higher prod value online.
Exactly.
And so that's the other thing, is that radio was this great thing where it's like, I remember getting in trouble because have you heard of Voice 123?
No.
It's like a service. It's sort of this is pre-Fiverr and all that sort of thing, but it was a very specific need, which was a marketplace for voiceover artists.
Right.
And so I did I went to London during the Olympics to film for FIFA and Jules.
Yeah.
And I wanted an English voiceover artist, and I put
log in?
So I put a request into Voice 123, said this is what we want. Anyway, Blackers, an audio engineer at the radio station, came up and was freaking out. I said, "We just heard from our English voiceover guy. You know how there's like that British sounding
So they've got
person
one
that
guy
does,
who's like the British guy.
Yeah, the British guy who does all the stuff for radio. He would do all the Hamish and Andy stuff.
Yeah.
And he'd seen the ad that I'd done on Voice 123, and he freaked out, being like, guys, like, we've got this arrangement. What's going on?
Yes.
And so it was funny because
he snitched.
Yeah, but the thing is,
where's he now?
I don't know. Still doing voiceovers. But the thing is,
he bloody shields that.
But just remember, it was so. But the interesting thing is, I guess it was so siloed because you had on air. It was very hard for me to justify the digital content producer getting time with that voiceover artist, and so I was trying to figure out other other solutions.
That's smart.
You didn't ever consider you doing your British accent?
No, absolutely not.
Oh, I don't
I only
do
do the American. I don't really do.
How's your American?
What's that? It's Ryan Seacrest here.
Oh God.
It's good though.
It's horrible.
When you're in America, you went to what's the place that Bridget loves? The clothing place, Everlane. Did you buy much stuff?
Yeah, we spent a lot of money there.
We walked past that in Venice when we were there.
Did you?
It was across the road from the park where we were hanging at the farmers market
Yeah, there's farmers market across the road there,
Yeah.
and then next,
with Matt.
What's their denim like?
really good, really good. I just got some. They're really good. I recommend. But the thing I didn't know that in the US, like in Australia, you just get like a 32 or a 34. But in the US, they're like,
Or a 38?
hey, mate, I've had a big couple of months. I'm probably almost 38. But there's a different sizing for length and waist. So you can actually go, oh, I've got a big butt, but I'm not that tall. So they've like, you can get a 34 long, but it's like, it's so
that's
much
handy.
better.
Yeah. Some companies do it here. I bought a couple of pairs of jeans that were too short, right waist size, but then I
you
needed
want to
the
be
length.
longer.
Yeah, I need the length.
Yeah, so Australia doesn't do that as much, but Everlane did it. And their whole thing is like, it's kind of expensive, but it's really quality and it's ethically sourced and it lasts for like forever. Because
Don't you like pay? Isn't it like pay to include the cost of the factory workers? Pay without.
no, because so everyone they should all pay their workers no matter what.
Yeah, sure.
There shouldn't be an add-on to go, and if you want our staff to get paid, you have to pay more.
No, but isn't there like I feel like I remember back in the day
George
going on
Columbus had a restaurant. It's like,
exactly.
if you want to get the dessert and pay $50 for it, then I can actually pay the guy that made it.
Yeah, I mean the Suvas. No, so you're right, 97.
The Suvas.
Yeah, the Suvas. No, the Everlane thing. So because I feel like it was very much like you could pay different amounts. Is that gone?
I don't think that was the thing anymore
Okay.
because I wouldn't have paid as much as I did if I had a choice because it was kind of expensive.
Because I just remember there being a thing of like, do you remember that TJ? Like it was sort of a 3. Can you look this up? 97.
At Everlane.
Everlane.
I don't buy shit online.
Well,
Amy
you
bought me a bunch of t-shirts.
Although,
from
can
Everlane.
I tell you something? I think you guys would really appreciate this. So for guys, they have this thing called the uniform, and it's like 10 pieces. It's like $300 or $400, but it's like with those 10 pieces, it's essentially the idea is that's all you need. That's
10 pieces.
So like it's a blue jean, a black jean, and a chino. Bang, couple of different
They're
shirts,
overdoing
couple
it.
of collars.
You need running shorts and a t-shirt.
But
should do.
because you guys like just the basics though, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then you set and they go, that's your uniform. You're good to go for the next.
Keep it simple,
3 years.
stupid.
Yeah.
I mean, I got I was pretty happy with myself. I got a little cheeky inbox from someone today just saying, hey, Tommy, Lib here. Hope you're really well. I've just started looking after the PR for Rod and Gun. They would love to gift you some product. Do you want to have a look on the website to pick out some stuff? We can arrange a store visit. I think, fuck, I'm an influencer.
So
I
what
don't
is
know
a
what I have
store
to do.
visit like as an influencer? Because this is like when we've gone to restaurants or whatever, and they've sort of PR.
Well, I mean, that's to me, that's free. That's just, you get to come in. We've seen what you do. We understand that, you've got a bit of pull. And
How do you feel about the fact that if you take that, which you bloody should, Rod and Gun?
Oh, no, I've already
one
got
of my
it.
personal favorites.
Yeah, I've got it put in for Thursday night.
How do you feel about being an influencer?
Well, there's been nothing there saying that I need to
But
post
in
about
general,
it.
Nothing about it being
the-
free either.
But the reality
I'm
is,
pretty sure that's free, boys. Do you want to look on the website to pick out some stuff? What? And then she's going to say that'll be $99.
It's a great sales tactic.
Imagine if-
Because you'd be so embarrassed. You're like, of course.
would.
well, if they invoiced you, you'd be shamed. You'd be like, oh, it's okay.
And then what about the follow-up? Are they going to say after I get it? So if you could just post a few pics, that'd be great. Like, is that how it works?
Problematic.
Yeah.
Anyway, I thought I was special, and then Josh
Yeah, I got the same
says to me,
message.
"Oh, hang on,
Did you?
just got
Well,
a message from Lib."
in terms of like, monetizing podcasts and stuff, the reality is that it's, there's various trickles of stuff, and a lot of people who have big podcasts make a lot of their money not directly from the podcast, but indirectly, through
Through
stuff
influence.
like that.
Yeah.
So back to my
Affiliate links
original
and-
question, how would you guys actually feel? Because I got called an influencer the other day because I did this, and they're like, "Oh, you here for that influencer thing?" And it made me cringe.
I'm a community content specialist lady. Thank you.
I'm a specialist lead.
Specialist lead, influencer specialist.
How did you feel about that tag?
that
Because it's
feels
got a
weird.
weird conundrum.
That's how we
Yeah,
feel.
absolutely.
Like when we're doing the MTV Visit Vic thing, that's all
Hashtag
on
spawn.
#spawn. It's all on our phone. And so
Yeah.
there feels like, and every event we've been to so far, there's been people with big cameras like what we filmed this on, like the
Yep.
C200, and they're there with their big lens. And then it's just me and Tommy being like, hey guys, we're down here or whatever. And it's just like, so there is something a bit uncomfortable about not having a full blown setup.
I have to say, compliment Josh. You've really lent into that sort of presenting, the JJ with the hand out.
Oh, really?
Hey
It looked
guys,
good.
it's Josh and Tommy. Like, I really appreciate it.
Thank you.
I think you needed to bring it. Ryan, you've
I'm
been
cutting to Rod
filming.
and Gun, by the way, because
You
my
like
dad's
Rod and
name
Gun?
is Rod Dunn. So every time I see Rod and Gun, I go, oh, it looks like my dad's name.
Dude, I can
I heard you know someone.
swing you a contact. But who knows? Check your phone. You might have got one.
There's one in Shopping Town, so
Maybe we could do a piece of integrated content around
Rod
like,
and Gun?
but like the whole fucking post redundancy, need to look good, sort of get some.
a tradie makeover. I love that stuff.
I love that idea. I think you'd get around it.
Rod and Gun meets Rod Dunn.
Rod's done.
Rod Dunn meets Rod and Gun. Yeah, let's do a Thursday night. Let's go down there. It's a feel-good pre-Christmas story.
Yeah, that's a great.
It
Yeah,
costs their money not to do it.
I love that.
actually, we need a feel good Christmas story. Everyone does
Have
it.
you got a feel good Christmas story? I mean, you've just had
I've got
Thanksgiving.
a great one if you
Tell us.
Yeah, tell us.
Well, I just last week got back from Thanksgiving in the US and I met my biological family and had Thanksgiving with them. And half of them I'd never met before.
Thanksgiving.
It's like Christmas, but without the presents.
And so, is
Or
there
turkeys.
any
No, it's
controversy?
definitely
You know how
turkey.
we've got like a Australia Day controversial
Yeah.
now, like, can't do it. Thanksgiving, is there any of that or no?
No problematic
No
stuff.
problem. Oh, that's good.
There was a shooting, though.
Other than vegans.
There was a shooting, did you say?
There was a shooting, 12 people shot. I was filming this thing hours
that's right.
earlier, but then I left. And then that
It was in
happened.
that area, like in the
Like-
same spot.
Where I was filming, the background is what got shot up.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah, so that's pretty wild. But apart from that, we didn't see anything bad, and there's nothing Australia Day problematic about it. It's just awesome.
And so
Because
you-
I never met half of the family. So I'd met the direct family, but I met all the cousins and grandpas and aunties and uncles, and we just ate and drank and had a rad time, went to the NBA and just, got to know each other.
I think I was watching your video. Thank you for wearing the Daily Talk.
Oh, did you
shirt.
like that?
Yeah,
Yeah.
and I was a little bit.
yeah.
I was freaking out about the stuff.
You haven't watched it.
No, I haven't watched it.
I had watched it.
Yeah.
But the stuff in your teeth was freaking me out. But the interesting thing,
You filmed a whole video and he ends up eating his
Well, I
teeth.
didn't realize until I went to edit it, and I was like, oh no, and I'd already packed the camera away. I was like, I'm not going to set that up again.
what were you eating to get that?
I don't think I'd eaten
Chia
that morning. It
pudding?
must have been there from the night before.
It has to be something. One thing I did notice, I don't know if this is being spoken about, but one of your family members I felt looked a bit like Bridget.
Yeah, my cousin Adriana. Yeah.
Problematic.
Real problematic. So as soon as I saw her, I was like, you look really like the girl I sleep with. And then I'm making this new, I was going to say, have you seen the new one? But I haven't finished editing it.
You got something in your teeth, isn't it?
No, well, I always have stuff in my teeth though. It's so annoying. This isn't the first time that happened. But I put Bridget's glasses on and then Adriana came in really close and she's got her glasses and it's like,
Identical.
yeah, they got the same glasses and they got along really well. They're like besties. It's almost a shame they don't live near each other because they would be best friends.
Oh, that's cute.
It's nice, isn't it? And so you did it all.
Has she done an ancestry DNA test?
Who?
Bridget.
She has. She did it when I did it. And
So
she's
there's no
from
link?
New Zealand and
Okay,
there's no
good.
link.
Yeah,
I can
yeah.
confirm.
Yep, good.
Oh, good. And so what
I was scared about that.
Imagine that.
Yeah.
I mean, that stuff happens.
I mean, what
I'm
do you
sure.
do?
I think there's been the ones where it's like, adopted kids end up being like brother and sister.
Let's say, what would you do if you were related to Bridget and it was like cousin of a cousin of a, but
Yeah,
there's still a somewhere
No,
down the
you
line.
couldn't do it.
So you wouldn't be with Bridget.
You just it would just irk you. Like you'd be like, it'd be a bit gross.
Not putting your socks in the washing basket. That irks. This is a bit different though.
Yeah, no, that's true. I actually thought
You
about
love
it.
Bridget so much though. I think you'd have to
I
stay
think it
with
would
her.
depend on if you're not planning on having kids. It's not. It's only
planning on
problem.
having kids.
but
Yeah,
it's-
no, it's only there's a specific type. So Amy has a friend whose parents cousin. Yeah,
And
something like
what's the
that.
deal?
Yeah,
it's all good.
And so yeah.
They've had kids.
So they
There's
probably
kids
just
and
did some.
kids.
They probably did some testing to see what the
It's backyard testing.
No. What does that mean?
You're getting it done. Just test it.
No,
Wait
but
9
testing
months
as
and
in-
see what the test
No, but I
comes
mean
out
like
like.
Best way
blood.
to test
You could.
it to do.
I'm sure that you could do blood tests to see
I'm sure
if
you
there's
can.
like
Mate,
genetics
can you just
overlap.
look this up? When does it become a problem? When you have children with a family member, there is. I know there's a specific.
And in other news,
Link?
I'm not envious of your Google search history.
No, I want to also find out
This kid,
the
you should see
Everlane
his
thing
porn
very
history.
quickly. What's the deal with the Everlane?
Yes, you can. There's a selection, so that they have a range called Pay What You Want, and they have select prices. So you got like 49, 55, and then 65, and you just select which one
Can
you
you
want.
email that to me 3 weeks ago? That would be fantastic.
And
You
so
paid
what's the
65 US.
Gronk pricing?
Yeah, and the Australian dollar shit at the moment.
it's
It's really
horrible.
expensive over there. But I actually had the opposite thought. So when I lived in so when I finished high school, I got a volleyball scholarship, moved to the US, and I knew that my birth father was American, and so I always had this thought of like, you know, when you're going to a college party and you're like, you could like randomly make out with some girl and find out later that she's your sister.
It'd be
that's-
so.
And that's when I found out I had, when my birth father's like, I've got 2 sons but no daughters. I was a little bit like,
I mean,
good
it's-
news.
Did you find out no Sebs, the deal?
Just reading it now.
And what did they say?
Feel free to share that.
No. I'm still pulling it apart. You keep
Pulling
calling
it
He's
apart.
processing. He's
Okay, he's
processing.
No, I appreciate
He's
it.
looking at
This
the-
is
he's
good
looking at the
info.
pictures.
Good info.
looking at the
Are you
pictures.
bringing back a podcast in 2020?
There's a few little bits and pieces in the works. I've thrown a couple of Hail Marys and to see what's going to land.
What does that mean?
Just
He's trying to dissect what he needs to say right now. Fuck, we've got Mason dissecting, you got Ryan dissecting.
Yeah. Is
I've
anyone
got
not dissecting?
I've got a few ideas. Some
I'm
have
not.
been
You and I are just free flowing.
Some
mate.
have been pitched to brands. Some other radio people have said to me, come in and make some stuff, whether you want it to be a show or a podcast. So there's heaps of ideas that I'm still kind of working out. But I'm not overly fussed with the podcast. I'm liking video at the moment. So I'm not.
Actually,
I think video can like reach a bit harder, faster.
I agree with that. Discoverability is a lot easier.
Yep.
Here's something we could workshop around monetization. We talked about it a little bit. We sort of took it off the table. We were going too hard in regards to monetizing about 2 months ago. And then so we're like, you know.
Well, the time I came in here, we were all over it.
Yeah. And so we'd
Was that
we'd
in the deep
yeah,
phase?
yeah, that was in
I think
the
we're trying to break world records versus just start to run in the race.
well, so I think the whole
Yeah.
thing was, it was like we were trying to make, how can we make the Daily Talk Show our main revenue
Source. Yep.
good
and so-
problem to
yeah.
solve.
And so
It
what,
excites me.
Have I told Tommy about the Daily Talk Show bookstore?
I don't know this. I can't remember this.
Did I not tell you about this?
I haven't heard that.
How many of your guests have books?
Oh, you did.
yeah,
I think
yeah,
you did
yeah.
say.
So
Yeah, we've
the
got
bookstore's
maybe
over there.
7, 8, 9. The
So what
bookstore's
you
over
do-
there.
So on Amazon,
Oh,
do you want to buy a book?
you can build. No,
An
no,
affiliate.
thank you.
Oh, that's a great idea.
Because you can go to, if you set it up, the Amazon.com/the Daily Talk Show, and then you can put whatever products you
Do that
want.
now.
Do that now.
So
and
get
you
that
can
up.
choose whatever books you want on there. And so you know how at the end of every interview and every media thing, they're like,
Mm-hmm.
oh, just go to sunrise.com to see about the book. Or
Uh-huh.
thanks for coming in. Where can we buy? You don't need to ask them. You just go, thanks for coming in today, mate. Hey, the audience, if you want to buy this person's book, just go to the Daily Talk Show bookshop on Amazon,
That's
and then
a
you
great
get
idea.
a cut. And you know what? You'll get more of a cut than the writer will.
the author.
What
Because
about
authors
even
get
the
books.
dailytalkshow.com/bookshop and then it redirects?
The
To a Shopify or
dailytalkshow.com
something,
/
yeah.
book.
Is
No,
it-
no.
And
So
you
then
know-
it forwards to the Amazon
But
thing.
then,
Yeah.
but then
we're
the
not
thing is,
fucking doing Shopify and running logistics on a bookshop.
well, that's what I was going to say. The best thing about that is you don't need to touch the books, buy
Yeah,
books.
yeah, yeah.
It just happens
No, I
itself.
appreciate that.
And apparently
Jeff does it all.
authors, I was chatting to a friend who wrote a book and like
like an author.
an author. And it seems like prestigious to say, oh, I'm an author, but the money is
Yeah.
awful. And you would definitely get more money in your commission
I
than they
appreciate
would
that.
for writing the whole thing.
Well, so
Dude,
Yeah.
we
it's
were
tough for them.
so we're trying to work out the.
So there's a few cents a week.
No,
What
I
else do we
appreciate that
need?
because 2020, the year of diversification of revenue, and so
I think it's important. Not
Yeah.
all your eggs in one basket. Don't have 80% of your work coming from 20%. Don't have. What's
you try and do the 80-20.
no,
you get
but
80% of your income from 20% of your work.
yes.
Yep.
Because if you lose a few of them, you're done.
Yeah. But so you want to get a lot of streams. I'm working off a lot of streams at the moment.
I
Not a
think it's good.
redundancy one.
And so the. So
So
I think
kind
that maybe we could all get jobs and then all try and get made redundant next year.
And meet back here in 6 months.
That'll be one of the great story arcs.
But the thing is, no, it's not enough cash because it's all about longevity. You got to stay in there for a bit.
Yeah.
But so
Hey, you're in this show for 10 years. Maybe
Yeah.
this project can be
Yeah,
a
yeah,
20-year
yeah.
project.
what we
It's a
were
retirement plan, babe.
so what we're thinking is making the advertising on here more affordable.
Yep.
And so we went like quite expensive at like over $1,000 an ep initially.
I didn't want to say that at the time because I was like, good on you guys for being like, but I kind of left
You're a shit
going,
mate. You're a shit mate.
but I kind of left thinking like,
too much.
because you said, oh, if we do that for every single episode for the whole year, we'll end up making this much a year. And I was like, Fucking hell. If they can pull that off, good on them.
Yeah, it didn't happen.
Yeah.
And so, but where I think that we've settled is I was talking to Chris Lawson from Lawson Media. He's got a new show coming out tomorrow called Supercharged, which is all about Tesla and Elon Musk and all that sort of thing.
Cool.
He's a Melbourne-based guy. But he was talking about CPM, like cost per thousand.
Yep.
I think he was saying that at like the top end, he was getting like $75 per thousand downloads.
Yeah.
And so with what we're doing, if we apply that logic, we should be able to get over $100. Like say we get average like 1,700 downloads per episode. We get like over 55,000 downloads a month on the show. What do you think if we charge $1,000 a week to advertise 7 days?
Well, it just depends on who your audience is. So I was
70% Melbourne.
Yeah, so and it depends on how that's valuable to a client. So I've written a like a branded podcast project that I'm going to hopefully sell the idea off that I was meeting with last week. But it's so specific that the client is like, oh, you're essentially talking about our product. The only people who are going to listen are people who are going to be quite similar to our customers.
Yeah.
So even if they only get a couple of thousand, every single one of them counts. And so the tighter that is, the more valuable it is per thousand.
Yeah.
Obviously, if you have 1 million from everywhere, well, it's still 1 million, so you can still make money off that. But if you've got a small amount, so then that's where you got to say, if it's a local Melbourne business and you go, well, all of our audience is in Melbourne, so you're not going to waste any.
Yeah.
It's probably more
Well, what
valuable.
we're talking about here is specific ad reads for the show.
So
This
one
is
thing
not
that we're
brand
doing, we spoke,
integration, 'cause
because
then
Remember,
there's
I said
like-
I was going to buy an ad, and you guys said no.
yeah, well, that was back in the day when we had cash. Now we're like,
So I want to give you
take-
cash.
Yeah, no, we'll take your cash now.
Listen, can you see him after? Write him out a.
I wanted to do a campaign. I wanted to buy a week.
Definitely.
You know how much? You know how much it is now.
Yeah, how much? $1,000. How does that?
Okay,
sound
I'll
to
do it
you?
because what I said to you, I was like, I'll do this thing that
Is that a yes? This is our first.
Yeah,
sale.
okay, let's make this sale right now.
Opportunity.
So I'm
Locked
gonna
in.
Well done, Josh.
I'm gonna sell 5 cups of coffee for $200 each, right?
500 okay.
5 cups for 200.
Yeah. So what happens is,
Wait, say that one more time.
so you buy a coffee off me for $200. And
Did
this
you
is
say
what-
500 coffees?
No,
So
no.
you say 5
One
coffees
coffee?
for $200.
Yes, yeah.
He's making $1,000 from selling 5 coffees.
Five,
Yeah.
five coffees. So when you buy a coffee for $200 from me,
Yes.
You're selling coaching. I like it. Go on.
no, so I come to the coffee with a bunch of ideas for your business and your branding thing. And then if you want to do them, then the coffee's free.
That's a great idea.
Yeah. And it'll only cost $1,000 and I'm only doing it for 5 people. And my whole thing is that if I pay you $1,000 for the week and I get my 5 coffees, then I'm breaking even.
Breaking even. Okay, if you
So I
sell
pay
in.
1,000,
Yeah,
get
yes,
1,000.
yes, yes.
Yep.
But then you could make a bunch more cash because
If they don't pay for the coffee because they want you to do the content for them.
Okay, I love that idea. Okay, when do you want to?
When do we
When
want
do you
to
wanna
start?
start?
Well, do I get 7 days or 5 days?
Yeah, 7 for
7 full
1,000.
week, mate. What are you
7
talking
for
about?
$1,000.
We're not here
Okay.
to jib you on a 6-day week.
And we
Okay.
can give you a free one now, which you just had.
Okay. So let me just make this really clear.
Okay.
This is what's on offer. If
XGST.
if your business wants to make some online noise, there's a commission structure we'll talk about off here. Because I brought this client in, so I'll take a cut of the
Yeah.
revenue, which is from me.
Wait, hang on. Wait, so are you
also
now
talk about
selling in us or you?
Well, if I brought you a client, would you give me a cut?
Depends.
We've never done commission stuff before, but
I've
how
also
would that
never
look?
earned money before, so it's all new.
So how would
Well,
we
I'm saying
do
if I'm
commission?
bringing you $1,000 client, I should get 10% of that.
Okay.
For what?
How about no?
For
I
bringing
think
in
we
the client.
I think we could do that. How about this? For every Sebs, what do you think about this? For $1,000, if you bring in $1,000 client for 1 week, we give you $100.
Okay, yes. So this is for the ad specific stuff.
Yeah, this isn't about
Okay,
this
great.
coffee
I'll take
thing.
that deal.
Yeah.
Okay,
So
I'll take that deal.
if you bring us a sponsor,
Well, I have. I've
for
brought Ryan John
$1,000, we'll give you $100.
But then if they
of
bring
that.
in $5,000, we'll give you $500.
Yep, correct.
Yeah, that's how it works. So anyway, this is what
I like
happens.
this.
If you contact me or the Daily Talk Show and you say, Ryan, I would like to purchase a coffee for
Do it
$200.
for direct and we'll do it for $950.
If you want to make some noise for your business, you want to make sort of like a fun viralish video that kind of shows off your product or videos, let's sit down and have a $200 coffee. I'll pay for the coffee. That's included in your $200. And I'll also bring a page of different ideas.
Is it cannibalizing what we do?
With
Because I'll probably
with his
hire you to
offer.
film it.
Okay, yeah, sure. I get that.
And you'll charge me like a lot more than I'm charging the client.
Yeah. So we end up making that money back
You make the
anyway.
money. I'm out of
no.
the person who buys it gets
Yeah.
a good video, and I just lose a couple of $100
No,
and a
that's
lot
right.
of my time.
And somehow SCA paid.
And I made myself redundant and pay myself
Yeah.
out.
Okay.
And then
No, like
we'll have a page of viral ideas, and you might go, don't like that, do like those two, and that one, maybe tweak that one. And then if you decide to make them, you get your $200 back, and it's just regular production costs.
Great.
And if you don't, you can just take the ideas and shake my hand and see you later. You
that.
got $200
What do you think, No Seven, about all this?
That's great. I love it.
Are we putting it out to the Gronk Squad too?
So yeah, if you can, so 7 days a week, you get, what are they getting? They're getting a live read.
Live read within
What happens when we
each
have
show?
like, you've got Michael Bungay Stanier on the show, and it's like, it's a Daily Talk Show episode 535. Michael Bungay Stanier is like, hey guys, it's like, Michael, before we get started, I just wanted
It's
to say,
pre-show. It's pre-show. It goes out
I
on
want
the
a
audio
mid-roll as
feed.
well.
Depends.
Can I give you an example of how
workshop
to do it?
yeah,
All right, we're all going to laugh. And are you ready? More after the sponsor.
so we do that
then it
midway
cuts in.
through.
Then you cut it in.
I don't know about mid-roll. What do you think about mid-roll?
No, I'm not too keen on mid-roll.
Yeah, because you have to put it in.
Pre-roll, post-roll. That's just a naming
Ron
right.
McCline
So do you
on
think?
mid-roll.
So do you think it's the Daily Talk Show is brought to you by Ryan John? If you need a video, set up a coffee with him. It's only $200, and you get a page full of ideas. Go to ryanjohn.com.au and book it in today. That's ryanjohn.com.au.
Don't say the website because then I have to check it and see if it works.
.au. Sorry, I said
I just don't know
.au.
what's there. Can you check what's on my name.com 97? Just go ryanjohn.com.
Okay, .com.
RyanJohn.com.
Oh, I'm nervous.
Yeah,
I said
like it.
.au just in case.
This will be my monthly click.
Oh my God, this is old.
Yeah?
It's him.
What does it say?
Yeah, it's
with
yours.
big hair.
What's the latest story?
Surprise engagement.
Oh, it's not too
Oh,
old.
it's not too old.
Let's get that Thanksgiving video up.
So
Yeah.
so I like this. So 1,000. So that means that we could cover our lease every month.
I think people don't give a fuck
Through
about
ads.
this. This has got
Ads.
nothing to do with
Why
it.
don't you do a separate podcast that's just budgeting and not budgeting
Yeah,
advice,
yeah.
but just you listen to us do our budget?
And I think it's interesting. I think people
Yeah.
would want to know. Don't
yeah,
you
how
think?
much does this place cost you?
It's like 40 grand a year, isn't it? 30
I mean, anyway,
with outgoings.
you got to add about 10 grand on any commercial lease. So
So
if you see
50.
the amount
So it's
on,
33,000.
if you see it as 55 per annum, it's 65.
Why is that?
to-
Just costs.
insurances, rates.
So you're saying you have to sell one of these you have to sell a weekly thing every single week to
Dude.
pay for the building.
We're not relying on it though. Dude.
Yeah, I know.
If we'd been relying
I
on it,
know.
Let's pretend you're not trust fund babies.
Yeah. Which we are. Did you see that? Did you see someone in the comments, or did we talk about it?
or
No,
you just think that's funny.
I just thought it was funny.
Oh, that's a
Get the
very
fuck
good in
out.
joke.
No, someone said that we were trust fund babies for the amount that we do this.
Yeah, they're like, how do these guys make money?
You're
It's fuck.
spoiler alert, we don't.
Okay, I think that's really interesting. So that's potential one way of diversification of income.
I like it.
We're doing other stuff. We're doing some, we're working with our host, Venture IP. They we have a great web host for all our, because our website has so much content on it.
Mr. 97, so he was tasked the operation of moving all of our information from one server to another. And you were in
job.
touch with Venture IP. Tell us what happened when you called and spoke to a young bloke at Venture IP.
Oh, it's great. So they're all Aussie based.
Based in Narre Warren.
Yeah.
It's great.
Love a
You're
fucking
trusting
local.
all your data to some bloke in Narre Warren. Jeez.
Mate, they've got it sorted.
Yeah,
Trust
that's so
me.
good.
You
24/7 support is great.
Dude, I love it fucking local. I was with another provider that ended up selling. They still stayed local, so I've stayed with
Yeah,
them.
I love it.
Local's Dick Smith's right behind it.
Yeah.
Now, I know you guys don't want to do this.
But you got to let Mr. 97 finish the story.
Please continue.
So
That's what I meant. I know you don't want to let him finish, but please.
Anyway, no. So I was on the phone and I was calling up to see how a transfer of the website was going, and the bloke that I was talking to, he was one of their support representatives, and his name was Ross, and he listens to the show.
No shit.
Yeah.
How good's that?
And
That is so
he
good.
wanted to handle the migration
He
personally.
wanted to handle the Daily Talk Show migration.
Web guy
Can I
Ross.
just tell you,
Mate.
as someone who's a D-grade celebrity in Perth,
Yeah.
when fans want to handle anything of yours, just let them get their hands all over it.
We love
Including
you, Ross.
massage places.
Ross from Venture
Yeah,
IP.
what? Of course, the massage places. Why do you think I visit you on Victoria Street every day? For this interview? I don't think so.
So what were you saying? You're saying I know you don't want to, and then you're going to get into something. I interrupted
I
you.
feel like every influencer, but that's different for you guys because you guys have genuine knowledge, has a e-course or something, and I know that you could make money doing a how to podcast course or having people in here and teaching them how to do stuff. I feel like you'd both enjoy doing it.
I would love
and
it.
it'd be interesting, and it's ripe, and it's one of those evergreen that once you've made this cool online course, then it's finished and it just ticks over and rolls along in the background. You can. It makes sense to plug during your show. You're like, oh yeah, something about the camera. You can check it out on our course. Like it's an easy, natural sell. So why don't you do it?
Yeah. What do you reckon income-wise we could, like, so say if we're doing all the diversification of revenue, how much should we be looking at? So say if we're making $4,000 a month off ads.
Well, I think the whole point of having the multiple streams is you can go, oh, not a huge month there, but we had a good month there. And just overall, it's just got all these trickles in. And I feel like that course, you guys know what you're doing. It wouldn't be hard. You could physically make it because you've got all the gear.
Well,
and then once it's done,
you
it's done.
think it's online?
Digital online course.
So, okay. Because
I mean, there's various ways to do it, but I think it'd be, because then anyone in the world can buy your course for $99. It's got 30 video tutorials about
think there's,
the gear and how to talk
all
and how
these-
to book guests and like.
There's a lot of work into them. So and we're flying. So I think it's actual in-person course to start with to understand what people's needs actually are.
$250 a pop.
And we've written this and done the copy, and we're going to put it out, but our focus wasn't there. We needed to put it somewhere else, and so we're going to run those.
What about the?
What do people need, do you think? Like if we're to really lean in, because the education thing excites us, but we want to make sure that whatever we do gives heaps of value.
I think the strategic thing to do would go into Google Analytics and literally, I'm a strategist, leadership lead specialist.
Lady.
You can actually find out what people have Googled. So if there's a high search, people are all searching for what equipment do I need to start a podcast, then lesson 2 is what equipment do I need to start a podcast?
I actually
and you
did that
just
with
use the
Quora
SEO.
back in the day. So I to work out what videos to make in Invato, I would look at the top questions on Quora and then create videos, and then I would respond with an answer saying, hey, I made a video about this.
And it worked?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, that's strategic. It
I
is
like
good.
the creative live, not model, but
Yeah.
when you say you're thinking about doing an in-person course, you just do that and then film it. And so it becomes both. You can charge people for the day and then it lives online forever. And I think, like you said, lots of work setting it up. But Ryan Holiday did a course on Creative Live 5 years ago, and he still says, oh yeah, I still get that monthly check and gets a cut. Because once it's done, then it's done.
Oh, yeah. I mean, these are things. The thing is, we think about this shit constantly.
Yeah.
There's
need to
and so
do
it takes the time, right? It takes the time to even feel like you have authority or something to
Think
offer.
of all the people that don't have authority who are just pumping it out.
Yeah,
and making
but
cash.
don't be
Don't be that guy. FYI.
don't be the illusion. Don't be disillusioned. Don't be confused by all the courses out there thinking that they're actually making any money.
True.
Because the amount of people, like our mate Matt D. Vella, is going to be releasing some sort of online education
He's gonna
course.
kill it. Yeah.
He will kill it.
Yep.
People
He's got the cred.
are tapped in, and he's built trust. And so the amount of people who've come to me, wanting us to film their online course, the reality is they will sell 5 of them.
Yeah, right.
And then they'll be like,
That's because they don't have I think there's
the
definitely
audience
something
piece
around
is
the
missing for a lot of
podcasting.
people.
And they might not have the SEO skills and the like. You know, you got to use your smarts to then market that course. But I think how many podcast courses, how many teachers teaching audio skills at universities have hosted 500 episodes?
That's
literally
one. Everyone
none.
says 300 accidentally. I'm
why'd you
curious
do
about.
that? What was that? Is it too? Do you know what happened?
No, I didn't know that joke.
What happened?
There's a lot of people say 300 instead of 500 in regards to episodes that we've done. Like it feels like a round number that
Yeah,
people
they just
remember.
fucking shave off 200.
And so, okay.
You know what I'm saying? If you could be like, there's all these podcast courses, but these guys have done 500
How do you make it
episodes.
not cringe? How do you make, I guess part of it is like, I worry that there is,
You worry about what people think of you?
no, I worry about what I think about me. And a part of me is like, I want it to,
That in turn means that you worry about what people think.
no.
Because if you
That's
if you created something and you saw it as cringe and then released it, you'd understand people would be thinking it's cringe.
Yeah.
So you've got the final say on it being cringe or not. And so then on the other side, you'd think that's actually people thinking it's cringe.
No, what I think about how if you see someone else do something and you're like, I think that's a little bit cringe. I just want to make sure that it's good.
I think
the difference would be the word could versus did. There would be a lot of courses that say, this is how you could get these great guests. But I think it just takes a lot of the wankiness out of it to go, this is how we did get Seth Godin.
Well, the only thing
is,
is,
it's a big difference to go, here's my strategy for guests. You're like,
Dad transferred me 50K. I sent it straight to Seth, and we flew to New York on his jet.
I called the trust fund manager.
He's mates with Sethy.
No, I just worry though that
calls him
like
G.
the answer, like for those types of things, people want to hear like, oh, you need to do this on LinkedIn and do all this. The reality is, if you think about the way that we do it, is we build relationships. Like, how do you
Are
communicate?
you filming this? This is the course, mate. You're saying it out loud.
Great. Yeah. It's about building
The least
relationships.
sexy course you'll find on the interweb.
Yeah, great.
Yeah, but
starring Josh Janssen. The least sexy guy
in a string
leotard.
singlet.
But that might cut
Bodybuilder
through.
singlet.
That would probably cut through. You go, you know what? There's all these little how-to, but this is the reality.
It's called the Singlet Sessions.
JJ with JJ. Casey Neistat yesterday, I was listening to an old podcast on Tim Ferriss, 2015. The fact is that guy at that time in 2015 had just started vlogging, and he references being in the city for 15 years. So he hadn't made it yet. He'd done other stuff, done bits and pieces, but he hadn't cracked it mainstream until he'd spent 15 years giving it a red fucking hot crack.
far out.
It's a long time. He was 34 or something at that point. And then, so the reality is it takes a long time. And he was also saying that, I was telling Josh this earlier, I think you should re-listen to that chat. I think it's relevant for what you're doing.
Which one?
Casey's? Tim Ferriss and Casey Neistat.
There's a Casey, not chapter, but in one of Tim's books, it's got like an excerpt.
Probably from that,
Tribe of Mentors.
Tools of Titans.
Tim was saying how, people have suggested that I go on YouTube. People have said the boat's sail, the ship has sailed, whatever. People have sent me to your stuff. What would you suggest? How do you sort of make it? And he's like, there's no fucking one answer. If I knew the answer, I could write it down. Or people would have written it down and people would have followed it. There's some principles and consistencies throughout. A lot of these people who have killed it, but it does change. Like, he's a big believer in the quantity, not necessarily quality of the footage as a filmmaker. And there's people who've gone the other way.
I've come up with a name of something, so we've got to go so I can write it down and spitball. But Ryan, John, I'm not telling you now. We'll do it off air. Yeah. But are you going to come in a bunch in 2020? Would love for you to be a regular.
Is that all right? Because I don't want to. I don't want to like impose.
Oh, fuck! I'm going to stop asking because I've asked that many times.
What?
I've asked you to come in, and
I have to ask
hang
you.
out here. No, mate, I asked you.
All right, I'll be in a lot more.
Great.
Because I'm doing 2 days a week in Melbourne next year.
There's the coffee thing and all that sort of thing. And can we invoice you now for that 1,000?
Before the end of the year?
Yeah, now let's sort that out. And then
Who do we invoice to?
Ryan John Creative has just been set up.
Proprietary
going very
Limited
well.
or
PTY Ltd?
It's not a company yet. It's just a
Sole trader.
sole trader.
That's all right.
That's fine.
It's cheap. Being a company's expensive.
Look at this guy,
Yeah.
ex-accountant, fucking knows how to work the system.
Registered for GST? Not yet.
Nah.
No, I get it.
Oh, I should though.
Because it is that thing.
I should say I'm registered for GST, charge 10% more, and just keep the money.
No, that's definitely not.
Look, I think if you earn 75,000 or more, you have to.
Yeah,
You
85,
can
I
back
think
it though,
is
so
now.
if you don't make it to that, you can then hold it. And
accountants
so at
have
the end of
said
the
to me,
year, you
when,
can...
when I was younger, they would say, don't register for GST, and then when you start making it, then add it in. My thing is, if you're working for big clients, you just don't want to be signaling that especially if you're doing a 20 grand job.
How much do you think people judge you off your invoices? You're talking about invoice numbers.
definitely. No,
If
I
you're
think
already
I
invoicing.
Specifically other small business operators.
if you're a- no, but
other big companies are like,
but
I
say
don't give
if
a
you're
fuck.
doing
You want
it,
It's
to
just
avoid
some
it.
chick from payroll going, yep, cool.
It's so
stamp
true.
it, send it off.
No,
And you know, you want to know a fun fact? If they're reading the invoice, they've already agreed to do whatever they don't look at the invoice and then go, 01? No GST. Fucking nah. See you later,
Don't
bud.
you think there's a little, like, I definitely place contractors in certain boxes of where they are in regards to their business based on those little things.
I actually think it could make you feel better as the person on the other end. I don't necessarily
the
know. I think what
posture-
Ryan's saying is, like,
Get
maybe,
used to having
maybe
GST.
not.
Get used to having
I like
GST.
it too. Yeah, I like the GST.
Okay, I'll charge you guys GST. Oh, hang on, who's paying
Hang
who
on.
in here?
No,
we charge you
we
GST.
charge you
Nah,
GST.
no GST.
But the thing is, no, we're doing it anyway.
We have to charge GST.
That's not, yeah. Like, you're the accountant.
He's
Yeah.
been out of the game for a
I've been
while.
out of the game for a while. I was chatting to this person. I was going to make a video for them, and they're in like the financial services thing. And like I've been out of the game for a while, and they had like a bunch of questions, like, "Oh, I just see this new thing about the thing, and you're up to date with this thing." And I was like, "Yep." They wanted to have a conversation about it. I was like, "I'm across it."
Yeah. How do you keep
Just
across
not-
that stuff? Like blogs?
Just read the paper, I guess.
Paper.
Oh, I bought a newspaper
Barefoot.
the other day, and then was like, "Who the fuck does this every day?"
AFR? Like, what are you buying?
I bought the Age on a Sunday because I had like a coffee, and I was like, "Oh, I'm just going to sit down and read
Hey,
the
buy
paper."
the
Actually,
paper
Herald
book.
Sun,
Buy the picture book.
Yeah.
Anna Byrne from Herald Sun featured Hey Tiger. And so we
that's
got
nice.
it and got photos and stuff. It's great.
Yeah, newspaper. It was weird. I had a moment where I was like, "Who does this?"
Well, I was wondering, I was asking Brie about, I'm like, the newspapers. She's like, Herald Sun, for instance, very well regarded. Like when we're at the NGV, they
By
were
who?
like, well, a bunch of like the NGV, when we're there, it's like, oh, yeah, the Herald Sun were in taking photos. It was all.
It's
I was
old
like,
legacy media, though. How much is it really moving the needle? This is what we don't know.
Yeah, I wonder.
This is what no one knows anymore.
Yeah, I mean, old media's like the walls are starting to cave down as we. spend the last
100%.
few
You
weeks.
can't promise that just because we print 600,000 copies of the paper in a day.
Is that how many
No,
they do?
no, it'd be fucking
No,
way
no
less,
way.
way less.
Really?
But just say if it's 200,000 a day, they can't promise that the eyeballs
Do you know how
of
many? Do you
2,000.
reckon?
Did you know? Or just while Mason, I think is going to look that up. The other day, Channel 9 came out. You know how they do that upfront? Have you guys done your upfront?
I don't know what upfront is.
It's when
I
a
mean,
media company comes out and says, "Here's what we're doing next year."
Yeah. We'll
And
get
so
Usher
I think
Ginsburg
big media companies should come out and go, "Next year, the Daily Talk Show returns."
Yeah. Well, we've
Oh,
got a
great.
special
Yeah, I love that.
series and stuff. So, but
got
that's
lots-
normally at an event space, and
Yeah.
they have sort of.
Yeah,
That's
have an
right.
event.
We can do it.
Yeah. So anyway, Channel 9 at their upfront said, "We're doing this new thing in digital where if the viewer doesn't watch the entirety of your ad, if it's a pre-roll or something, you don't pay for the ad. So Channel 9 only charge the client if the person watches the whole ad and doesn't press skip."
And now they're paying people who put one of those boxes on their TV to register how long the ad runs for.
Really?
No, but that's how do they get data about people watching ads on
That's
TV?
what I said. And I was like, "So you're not going to charge me if someone picks up their phone during an ad break?" I was like,
No,
no one
no.
watches TV ads, bro. Give me all my money back."
Yeah, exactly. My point is, how do they don't know how long someone's
doing
watched
their
an
best.
ad for.
Yeah.
That's all they're doing their best.
Oh,
And
do you
that's
guys-
about as much as they can
Do you guys
offer.
with your production company make TVCs?
No, we haven't done. We've
It's-
done.
it's one for him. We can
edited-
probably do one for him.
I've
That's my wife. I've
Okay.
shot stuff for cinemas and stuff.
But is there really particular technical stuff?
there's a bunch of, you have to put it through AdStream or whatever, which is like making sure that all the data rates and all that sort of shit are right.
Because I was thinking, I reckon we could I want to make an ad for some business just for me, for my Instagram page.
yeah.
Sure.
And I reckon for about $100 I could get 50 placements on regional TV outright.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's because they can't give it away. They just need to fill the slots.
You sure?
When I was in Bunbury, that Channel 7 were charging $2 per thing.
Let's
On
get into the
GWN7.
Daily Talk Show in Shepparton. Hey guys,
Oh, yeah.
remember me? I used to be on radio. That post, people are missing me in Shepparton.
We could so maybe is it irresponsible to take the $1,000 we make off you and put it into Shepparton ads?
I mean, it'd be
No, I
pretty
reckon
good.
it's a good idea.
It's a good investment. Invest in the brand.
All right. So who do we talk to? Let's
I don't know.
someone from
I can
Shepparton.
I can
we
flick
say
an
we have
email.
$1,000 budget. What can we get?
Yeah.
And we can do the TVC.
Just before we finish up, Amy's just arrived, Tommy's wife. Can I
Yeah.
say, Amy gave me some really good advice for the proposal video. So I just wanted to publicly say that. She'd be around.
Oh, yeah, great.
What was the advice?
Okay.
Well, originally it
Don't do
wasn't
it.
going to be a huge surprise. And she's like, no, you got to leave that killer surprise thing to the end of the video. So I totally restructured the whole thing.
Yeah,
Don't do the surprise.
Ryan
Throwaway
wanted to-
comment that Amy gave.
Ryan wanted to, can I say what you wanted to do?
I was going to make an amazing race.
Oh, yeah, but which means she would have known it was proposal day from the get-go.
If
Sure.
she had have completed the task.
yeah,
That's
but
like
then
the amazing race.
you know you're marrying her.
Yeah, but she still has to complete
You're
it.
in the doghouse if you don't fucking
It would have given me
propose
so
to-
much pleasure to go,
be like,
hey,
not
if you had-
today.
If you had got it done faster,
Yeah.
we would have been engaged by
No,
now.
I think it's probably a good.
All right,
good
let's go to the
suggestion.
boardroom to finish off this deal.
Let's get this deal done. It includes TVCs,
opportunity.
coffees.
Locked in.
It's very funny. It's a Daily Talk Show. Hi at thedailytalkshow.com. It's hi at thedailytalkshow.com if you would like to book 7 days for $1,000 on the Daily Talk
or
Show.
purchase a $200 coffee.
Should they send you an email?
No, it goes through you guys.
Okay. Oh, yeah, because of
Great.
the commission. Hang on. We haven't spoken
No,
about that.
I just want
the
you
room.
guys to know if your advertising works.
Okay.
Because if you don't get any emails, then you might need to read
No,
your
I
site.
appreciate that.
It works. So,
Okay, great. Also, Apple Podcasts, if you enjoyed the show, leave us a 5-star review and we might even read it out. Would you do that, 97, if they leave a review?
Can we read a review right now?
We can read a review.
What's
right
the
now.
last review that
When
came
to go,
in?
because I got to pick up my kid.
One from Sam, 5-star review. Such good guys. I've just recently started listening to the Daily Talk Show, and I got to say it's a good listen. The guys are super down to earth and positive. Not only does it brighten my day, but most of the time I learn something that I want to implement into my life. Also, you can't beat a daily podcast. Great listen.
Fuck yeah, Sam.
What's his name? Sam.
Sam.
Can you just say, Ryan says you're welcome? Can you reply to that?
You can't reply to
Can't reply to
fuck.
Also,
Jeez.
congratulations to Jodie Scanlon.
Yeah, happy baby day. Baby.
Beautiful baby.
Beautiful.
Named Charlie.
Little Charlie.
Little Charlie.
I love that name. We wanted that, didn't we, Mossy?
Little Charlie.
Yeah,
Oh, can I put one more thing on the record before we leave?
Yeah, sure.
Tommy gave me a contact last week for a company. The guy left 8 months ago.
What company was it?
Road.
Oh, really? Did it? That's why he hasn't been getting back to me.
Yeah.
Fucking good news. I got the contact of him.
So the thing is, we literally, I started using Sennheiser microphones.
You mean that
Rode-
guy left? You mean this guy? Yeah. Can I speak to him? Oh, he left in May. Oh, okay. I better tell Tommy and Josh.
I read that is so funny. He should have had bounce back on his email.
That's ridiculous.
So you've been messaging this guy the whole time?
I use Sennheiser microphones on all of our US trip because I'd cracked it because I emailed Rode asking to visit them in Sydney
Dude.
to say hello and he never got back.
He may have got a redundancy and
He's got a new
walked
job. I
out.
looked him up on LinkedIn.
Where's he
No, but-
working? Sennheiser.
No, he's head of communications at some other place.
Lead communications.
Specialist lead.
Okay, well, I'm going to look
Jeez.
that up.
Dan
Dan Murphy,
specialist.
great guy. Anyway, it's Daily Talk Show. Set him up, guys.
See you guys.